What's your full name?
Lou Graziano.
And when's your birthday? I know you had one recently.
February 6, 1923.
Okay. Just turned 100 years old. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I know you got 1,000 or 2,000 or however many birthday cards just this year. And still coming, I see. What did you do on your birthday? Besides reading cards.
They had a big birthday party for me.
Yeah?
At the church.
Okay. I bet they did.
And
how many people?
Well, I imagine there was about 80 people.
Well, good.
They all had a good time.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. They had a big chair for me to sit in. They all want to take pictures with me.
I bet. And I'm going to do the same after this. Well, it's an honor to meet you. I've heard about you for several months now, and glad to be able to come over here to Thompson, Georgia to meet you. Where were you born?
In East Aurora, New York.
Where in New York?
New York.
Where in New York? What town?
East Aurora.
East Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's just outside of Buffalo.
Okay. Very good. And how long did you live there?
Oh, I lived there till I went into service, 1923.
No, you were
Well, not
23. So 43?
43.
And had you ever been very far from home before you went into the service?
No, I've never been any place before that.
I'm not surprised. There's so many veterans I've met, that grew up on farms and small towns, had rarely been far away from home, more than 40 or 50 miles at the most, and then they go halfway around the world.
Well, I was drafted, and it was 4 of us boys from hometown.
Yeah?
And we all got drafted the same day. And each one, when we got to Fort Niagara, we all were sent to different places, separated us.
Okay. And did they all make it home? Or do you know?
One didn't make it home. He was in the Air Force and tail gunner on a plane and got shot up. And the others made it.
Kind of walk me through where you went for training and then once you got over to England, I guess.
Went to Fort Niagara to start with. And then first day I was there, the captain come in, he says, "You got to cut your mustache off."
Uh-oh.
And that didn't make sense to me. But since I was a rookie, I cut it off. But after that, I never cut it again when I got transferred out. So from there, I went to...
and I bet you still have it.
Right.
I was thinking of that earlier. I was looking at all your pictures, and I thought, you've had that mustache ever since then, haven't you?
Right. And from there, I was sent to Texas, Camp Hood, Texas.
Yeah.
And had commando training there. And from there, I was sent to Pennsylvania. Can't think of the name of that camp. Anyway, I was only there 4 weeks. And from there, I was sent to Fort Dix, New Jersey, to go overseas.
Okay.
And the day before I went on the ship, I went to town and made a record for my father.
A record?
A record for him to play. And I told him everything we was going to do to Mussolini. And everything I said I was going to do happened exactly like I said. They hung him and all, killed him, you know.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and my father played that record all the time I was gone. I kept him going. And then from there, I got on the Queen Mary ship. There was 18,000 troops on there. And the little things where you slept, you couldn't turn around.
You probably felt like ants.
Yeah, you had to get out and go back in if you want turned over. So after the first night on that, I said, y'all can have it. I'll sleep on the deck, which I did all the way there. On the way there, the storm came up, and it was so bad. We were supposed to go to England, and the storm was so bad, we landed up in Scotland, kind of the storm. And then we had to take a train to England from there to Camp Weston. And when I got to Camp Weston, they put me in charge of utilities. So I had to build some barracks for the troops.
Build the barracks?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So
You didn't have them before you got there.
well, they had some, but they didn't have enough.
Not enough.
So they gave me 30 men to put them to work. So I got some more barracks built for them.
Were you already with the unit that you were going to serve with the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I had men from that unit that I put to work. And I had 2 men there that were ones that wouldn't carry a gun.
He was a who?
2 men that wouldn't carry a gun.
Oh, wouldn't carry.
I forget. There's a name for them. Anyway, so I put them to work in the laundry.
Okay.
Took care of that.
How long were you in England?
I think I was in England about a year, I believe.
Oh, really?
And then from there, when we left there, we had 700 miles to go to get to the English Channel to hit the Omaha Beach invasion.
Yeah.
I was the 3rd wave in there on the Omaha Beach.
3rd wave on D-Day.
On D-Day,
And
right.
what was your feelings before you actually landed? You're out in the channel and waiting.
I just took it as it came. I wasn't worried about anything. I drove a gasoline truck off of the LST onto the shore, and then jumped out of it and got underneath the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got under the cliff, the Germans was up there shooting down at us. So I got my flamethrower out, and I put that all on fire underneath them and got rid of that gun. Then there was another gun farther down, so I threw a flare up in the sky. And the Navy knew what I wanted, and they shot and got that gun out. And then from there, the Rangers were going up the cliff, which was 100 feet high. It was a ladder. It was a rope ladder cliff going up, you know. So they were the first one to go up, and we followed them. And some of my men lost their guns as they got off the LST, kind of so much equipment on them. When they hit the water, they had to get rid of it or they'd drown. So the ones getting ready to go up the cliff, I said, you all go down there and get your guns off of the dead soldiers and follow me. So we went up the cliff and fought all our way to St. Louis. Then from St. Louis, we fought our way to Reims. And that's when I got to Reims, France.
I don't know how long it took you to get to St. Louis from on the beach?
I think it took us 43 days
Really?
from there to get to Reims. And
Oh, 2 Reims. Okay.
yeah, and then the Colonel Tracer put me in charge of the utilities there when I got to Reims. And that's when I went and got the Germans, or the Frenchmen had to get equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I told you that already.
Yeah, tell me that story again.
Yeah. I went there to get stuff for the troops, and they wouldn't sell them to me. So I went back, got a couple more men, and went back and went over, and he still said no, and I pointed my gun at him and told the men to go ahead and load up. They loaded up, and I gave him paper, go get his money for what I took. And I told the major when I went back, he says, we're going to get in trouble. I says, no, because he's afraid I'm going to come back and get him. We didn't have no trouble.
No trouble after that.
Right. So then
Yeah, if I need something done, I'm going to come get you.
I'd get it done.
You'll get it done.
Right.
Let me back up a little bit. Back to Normandy. You said you had a flamethrower to take out a machine gun, or was it a pillbox, or
A flamethrower.
yeah, like one of those, the kind that puts on you
Yeah.
have on your back,
Yeah.
or from a tank.
On the back, yeah. And shot up under the cliff.
You went up the cliffs as well.
Yeah, I went up the cliff after followed the Rangers up the cliff,
Yeah.
and we fought all our way to Reims.
That's impressive. I didn't know that part of your story, or I hadn't read it yet. Or can you describe what it's like with all the ships, all the men, unfortunately all the casualties, and I guess the sounds of cannons from the ships and
Yeah,
explosions and
that was a terrible sounds. A lot of things you just had to.
do you ever get over that?
Yeah, I got over it. I didn't let it bother me. I figured I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder what did it sound like?
Some of them couldn't take it, the sound at all.
I mean, I see the movies like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
So you must have been in Reims for a while.
Yeah, from then on I was
Allied Command or
from then on I was at
Headquarters.
Reims and charge of the utilities and all the buildings that the Americans occupied. I was in charge of seeing everything that was done for them. And then one night, the captain come in. It was snowing terrible. And he says, I want you to go on a mission with me. I says, is that a order? He said, no, but I can put it in order. So I says, okay, let's go. So we had to go find General Patton's. Half of his troops got lost. And we had to go find them and take them all the way to Bastogne. And we went out, we found them, and we fought all our way up there. And I got them there to Bastogne. And I got frozen feet at that time. And after I got them there, Captain and I, we went back to Reims. Then they put me in the hospital for my feet for a couple of weeks there. They all black and blue right up to here.
How did that affect you for the rest of your?
Yeah, like that, all the way,
All that's from back then, huh?
all the way down. Yeah, and at night sometimes I got to get up and rub them because they start hurting.
Hurts pretty bad.
Yeah.
Most people don't think about the long-term effects,
Yeah.
except for maybe PTSD. or shell shock for some soldiers, but
Well, I just accepted and go on.
I'm not surprised. I hear that a lot. That's why you guys have so much respect from younger generations. You just did what you were trained to do and
Got it done.
got it done. Of course.
So,
Well, tell me about a little about leading up to the surrender. I guess you knew it was coming soon because the Americans had made advances pretty quickly in the spring of '45.
yeah, I was in charge of the Little Red Schoolhouse, Eisenhower's war room.
Mm-hmm.
You had the maps and all in there. That's where the surrender was signed.
So the war room was there in that
In the
school.
Little Red Schoolhouse,
Okay.
yeah. And the Germans come to sign the surrender, and Eisenhower wouldn't be in the room with them. He was up the hall in another room. He was afraid if they decided not to sign, he didn't want to be there in case they didn't want to sign. But after they signed, I took them to his room, and he questioned them, and he wouldn't shake hands with him. So they clapped their heels when they left.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You don't hear these kind of stories in the history books. you got the history right here. How long did that take? Was it a pretty short surrender ceremony? Just sign a few copies.
There was the Frenchmen, the Russians, and the British all on that table.
Mm-hmm.
I had the table all set up where they're going to sit, and they all the Frenchmen, they wouldn't sign till everybody else signed. They were the last one who signed the surrender.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. They just
Because this was taking place in France,
yeah.
their country, so I guess they wanted to.
Anyway, it got done, and then they had another surrender in Britain or in Berlin.
Yeah, the next day.
Next day, yeah. Well, we all had a good time. After we signed the surrender.
Well, that's understandable. I didn't think about that, but I bet you did. And so you stayed in
Then I
Reims
stayed.
for a while?
I stayed there till it was time to go home.
Okay.
I was in charge of the city of Reims for the troops
When did you go home?
in '46,
Okay.
and when it was an air raid, all the lights around the city supposed to be turned off, and I told the major, I says, they're not turning their lights off. I'm going to go around shooting them off. Can't do that. I says. He says, okay, but I don't know nothing about it. So that meant go ahead. So I took a couple of men. We went around and we shot everything that we saw that was lit up.
I don't know anything about
And we had no trouble with it.
Well, I guess, after the surrender, you probably got to travel around France a little bit more without being shot at.
Then in France there, that's where I met my wife.
Yeah, how did you meet her?
Well, my buddy, his girlfriend and her were friends, So my buddy says, let's go to the ball game, watch the ladies play ball. I says, okay. So he took his girlfriend with him, and we went, and she was the pitcher on a softball team. And I says, who is that? His girlfriend said, her name is Bobby, and she's my best friend. I says, okay. She worked in the orderly room, doing the office work. So the next day I went and made a date with her. And
What's her name?
Bobby.
Oh, okay.
And so I went to pick her up that night. And the girls at the office said, she's already gone with somebody. So I turned around, went back. So she stood me up. And her friends told her she'd never get another date with me. She told them she would. So later on, a week or so, I asked for a date again. And that time she was there, and was there ever since till she passed away.
How many years married?
63 years.
63. Wow. Very good. I like that story. That you met her, and where was she from originally?
She was from Alabama.
Really? Okay.
And
Sweet home Alabama.
around Hartselle, Alabama.
Hartselle. I know where it is.
And her friend, she was the staff sergeant of the mess sergeant,
Okay.
the food.
Yeah.
And so one night, after 4 of us all went out and we were going back to camp, I said, let's go cook us up a steak. So we did. And who comes in? The colonel. What are you all doing here? I says, Colonel, how do you like your steak? That took care of that situation.
You didn't miss a beat, did you?
No.
How do you like your steak?
Well, I figured that'd take care of the situation, you know.
You know how to get it done. Yeah.
So,
And
then one time I had to build a theater for the troops. So I found the land where it was a mountain like this, you know. So I built the theater down the bottom.
like an open theater,
Yeah, open theater.
amphitheater. Or something?
And put the seats over here, you know. And as I was building the theater down there, the general come up, he says, you know how to do the acoustics? I says, yes, sir. After he left, I says, what the hell is acoustics? So
I wasn't going to ask that myself.
So I went check and found out it was the sound effect, you know,
Oh.
is what it was. So I took care of them, and it came out good. And as I put the building down there was a concrete wall down at that end. So one of the boys says, I wonder what's on the other side of that wall. I said, make a little hole and take a peek. So he did. He says, it's a wine cellar.
Oh.
I says, make a bigger hole and get in there. So he did. And I said, and get the bottles that got the most dust on top. I said, that'd be the oldest, the best.
Yeah.
So he did, and he got out, and we had a big time. Next thing you know, General comes up. You all broke into a wall. You all got to pay for that liquor you all took. So he discounted so much off of each one of us to pay the Frenchman. We didn't care. We had a good time. Oh,
How much did you take?
I think, we just had a party there. 4 or 5 bottles, that's all.
Oh, okay. No big deal.
No.
Worth it.
So
I like that.
then,
Make a bigger hole.
and then in the theater I built there, Jane Foreman was a movie star.
Yeah.
You remember Jane Foreman? She was in the plane crash.
Jane Foreman?
Yeah.
I don't recognize that name.
But anyway, she was a movie star
I'll look her
in the
up.
plane crash. And, of course, she lived through it. So she came to the theater I built and to sing for the troops.
Mm-hmm.
So with her crutches, and I set her up there. She got the crutches, and I went to the sound room, take care of the sound for her. And she did real good for the troops.
Nice. So when you came back home in 46, back to New York,
Mm-hmm.
or were you married yet?
Yeah.
When did you get married?
We got married in France.
In France.
Yeah.
How long after you met?
Not too long.
Okay. Well, you fell in love hard and fast. And
Right.
So you brought her back to New York, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you live after?
Well, she's from Alabama and I was from New York.
Yeah, so
And,
how'd you make that work?
Well, coming home, her ship left the day before my ship was to
Okay.
go home. She had to go with the troops, with the ladies. And her ship cracked up at the Azores Islands.
Really?
And, of course, I didn't know that. And I knew she left the day before I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured she should be there.
Yeah.
And I got there and she wasn't there. And I called her family up. I said, no, she didn't come in. I kept calling. It was 30 days before I found out that her ship had cracked up.
Hmm.
That
So what happened to them? I mean,
at the Azores Islands.
they had to stay there for?
Well, no, the troops, the Enterprise ship had left, gone to America to take the troops, and they had to turn around, come back to get them after they got rid of them. So that's
Okay.
why it took so long.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what happened. I figured maybe she skipped out again.
No, surely not. Gosh.
Oh, dear.
Did you live in New York for a while?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
I went back into the beauty business. My sister kept the shop going. She was in there. So I went back in the shop work.
Okay.
And from there, she didn't like the snow up in New York. And she wanted to get back south. So they was looking for a hairstylist at Belk's in Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down and talked with him and took the job.
Okay.
But then we moved to Augusta.
So you've been in Georgia ever since?
I've been in Georgia ever since. And in Augusta, so many women from Thompson came, got their hair done in Augusta. And I did their hair for them, you know. And they talked me into coming to Thompson. So one night, this one lady called. She says, I found a place for you to rent. I says, okay, I'll come take a look. So I looked at it. I says, yeah, I guess I will. So I moved up there, opened up the beauty shop here, and been here ever since. And I was busy from night day. They come in real late.
And you're still working.
And their husbands, at that time, a man doing their hair, they didn't like it a bit, you know.
I bet, yeah.
They had a time. But they got over it once they met me.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, here's a question that I often ask at the end is, what do you attribute to your making it through through the war and such a long life?
Well, I don't know. Going through the war, I just prayed to God to protect me, and He did.
Yeah.
And I made it through. And I take it as it comes each day.